Everyone. Just thought I'd bring you an update since daily close. Daily close for Sol and BTC was actually quite bullish. It sort of pumped right up into resistance, but did sort of recapture a couple of key levels. So it's good that we've got candles that are opening from up at some of those levels, and I guess we'll just see how today and the weekend plays out. I just thought I'd show you something because it's Sol's sort of run into a bit of weakness just as of now. So just give you a bit of an idea of what we're dealing with. So we have our monthly trend, which goes something like. Sorry, I just got to step through it. No matter how many times I do this, I never really remember where it is. So we have a monthly trend which is all the way up there. We have our monthly range trend, which is slightly different, and that's there. And we have our, just go from that one, so move that along, and then up to there. I could keep all those lines on the screen, but I just don't really need them. And our monthly there. And we've got a little monthly range trend in there as well. So we've been in this box, and we've taken a bounce off this. Yeah, so this whole candle, which is well within the trends that exist. So effectively, our entry there at 156 has now hit that 175 level. So that's the minimum obligation of that whole candle. As long as it doesn't get obstructed by some form of trend, it's going to travel from there to there. So if we look at this just on a low time frame view, we've started to run into resistance, but there isn't really much of a reason for that resistance. From a monthly perspective, you'd expect us to sort of sneak up at least to this trend that's up here. So let's just have a look at that on a 1 hour. Yeah, so we've hit that level, and we're starting to create a 1 hour downtrend, which is interesting because it really should have pushed up a bit further. Now we do have a weekly level down inside this monthly, and we also got some weekly hold targets, etc. up here, and we've got weekly trends. So if we were to look at that just on a weekly view, that's our hold level there for the weekly. It's the opposite to it there. So it's a range of about 153 through to 181. It would be understandable if the monthly move hit that trend, which is sitting there at about 179, and didn't poke through to the 181. Like that'd be understandable, just given the the support that we bounced off, which was the monthly support. But it stopped a bit early, which is, like I say, a little bit strange. So either they're just waiting for maybe the New York session tonight and London session or something, and then they'll give some big heroic pump up into that resistance, and from that point, we might actually create a bit of a dump back down to this 153 area. Or it's also possible that we are just going to roll over on this, because that does happen. Not very often, but it does happen that you just roll over when you get to that minimum fib bounce of the monthly level. The only concerning thing about that is that actually tends to indicate you're in a downtrend. So if you move to this and this becomes the resistance on its own and then just dips down to that next level, that sort of indicates that you're losing monthly strength, and the next thing is the weekly has to hold us up and so on. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing I just wanted to point out is that if we do hit this monthly trend and we start to reject, then the monthly support is down in the 140s. So just don't go too big on positions into that weekly support, just in case it actually comes through that and hits these monthly trends down here, because you'd be underwater by $10, $12 by the time we got to those, or more maybe. So yeah, that's all for today. We got to that 175 target. Yippee-ki-yay, made some money. and I've left a bit on the table to run up to these higher levels and just see how that goes. If we actually sneak up there slowly and close the week over these trends, the story changes a little bit, and we might want to start being very bullish. I think there's two possible outcomes to let's put these weekly. That's a weekly range trend, by the way. Let's put those on there. I think there's sort of two possible outcomes, and that's that we're either going to go up because everyone's expecting one final flush, and that's what markets like to do sometimes, just do the opposite of what everyone expects. Or we've just had bullish news. They've come out with that paperwork, etc., that was signed. We might even have a pump through New York through the weekend, etc., and then maybe we run into one of these upper trends and absolutely drop down to lower levels, because we have got things like, if we take these weeklies from here, look at where they end up sitting. Although we are actually looking pretty strong currently, key thing to remember is we're still under this stuff, and that's up at about 183 for some of these range trends, and then we've got this all the way up here at 197. So that at 197, if we approach that with speed in the next 2 days and 22 hours, and we don't close the candle up there, then we can come all the way back down. Like it's all about hard closing, and certainly this range through here has not been hard closed. We went above it, we dove below it. This one underneath here got support, and then we pumped through it. The trend moved, and we couldn't close that one, so that rejected us back down. So really, we need to actually spend a bit of time up here and close some weekly candles if we actually want this to be real support to break out to the upside. So yeah, just play it safe. But normally there will be a trap over the weekend. If it starts to pump up into these resistance levels, then yeah, just de-risk, wait and see what happens, see how the candles close before you, and whatever, just don't pile into longs if we're running straight into that trend, because it's a weekly trend. It moved. It hasn't been touched since it moved. It's very much high probability chance of rejection. And like I say, if we don't close the candles up there and hard close these levels, then the area will reject to will be back down to here, back down to that 153 area. So yeah, that's all for today. And if anything major changes, I'll flick another update out. Cheers. Bye.